now. Leave me alone. I'm busy.
Well, we'll never have time, and it's never the right time.
Yes, can't you see? I'm working. I gotta finish this.
Yes, I see, but why don't you stop at least once for a while? I want you to have coffee with me, not to go for...
Alright. Hello, we are...
Bubbly Alex!
And Bubbly Lora.
Where we talk about relationships. Don't forget to subscribe over there. Yes.
And as you heard, the story is about time, and I'm busy, and you're taking my time, and I don't have the minute right now that I need to finish my work. And why are you jumping in to ask me for whatever it is? This is what happened to us last week, and we're going to share with you what happened, how does the ego react, and what the Wamba concept does, and what was the result at the end.
Yep. So let's start.
Let's start. What was the situation?
The situation started in the morning. I had my daily routine, doing my yoga practice with some friends online, and typically when I'm doing it on my own and Alex is at home, when I finish the practice, we make coffee, we talk a little bit, and after that everybody starts doing his thing. So it's kind of a routine. Practice for me, coffee for two, and then like this is after this the day begins for us. And after so I had this lesson. It were the friends are our common friends, so I called him like, Alex, let's go for coffee. And I saw him in the other room, looking at me like with this, gaze where you want to kill someone. But after he like really fast got himself and came.
Okay, so there was a moment of you saw that on my face?
Yes, I did.
It was obvious?
Yeah. Too obvious.
It was obvious? Okay, it was what was actually going on in my mind. Obviously it came to be on my face and my body language, which the other person can pick, right? Can pick up on. So here's what happened on my side, right? As Lora described, she called me for coffee, which is how much nicer can it get? Somebody calls you for coffee, it's a coffee break, right?
Yeah.
But I was so zoomed in my mind, and when we say that's kind of interesting, what we mean by that really is that our mind chatter, the ego, is going on, and you're busy in your world and you're doing something, and yes, you might be occupied with something actual, but in your mind you're 10 times busier thinking about things and stressing yourself out. And that's this common way how we live nowadays, sadly. And I don't think I have to preach about it too much because we see it everywhere. If you ask somebody, how are you doing? Busy. How are you doing? Busy. Right? This is a very common
You always
answer.
have something to do. You're
always
doing something.
I don't have time right now. And so, would you say that's converted into reality for us right now? I mean, it's part of our day. Oh, it's a busy day. It's a busy day. And so what we want to talk about today is that this is a simple illustration of how it happens and how it happened to us and where you can relate. So in my mind, when I heard Lora calling me for coffee, immediately, I didn't even hear the coffee. There was no, I didn't process it in a way of, oh, okay, well, it's a good time to just get a break, relax a bit, have a coffee and chat a bit, get off work mode, recharge and go back to work. But immediately there was an attack mode, right? Like, I was like, the response in my mind was like, well, why are you calling me right now? Isn't it obvious that I'm working? That's what this is the thoughts, and they shoot in my mind with, like, instantly, right? It's not like it doesn't feel like I'm selecting them. They just kind of swoop in, right? And the thoughts are, oh, she's always interrupting me. I'm busy and this is very important and I'm already stressed. I don't have time now for coffee. This is not serious. Why, right? And so a bunch of thoughts like that, and obviously my face changes and she can see. But what's interesting is that how the ego in my mind sees that as a problem, like coming outside and attacking it. I am stressed by myself. Lora is not doing anything to me, and in my work I'm busy, and the coffee break, there's no way it's gonna make me stressed, right? I need to be stressed already, and that's just another reason that I can attack or a reason to blame somebody else because of how I feel. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is how I reacted, and we're talking about, you know, sharing a cup of coffee, which how long does it take? Minutes. Let it be 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Right? If you really wanna, you know, take your time. And also we're talking to friends that I love, and I love talking to them as well. So it was an opportunity to recharge, because to be present and recharge and spend some time with her in this case and friends online. And then you can go back and do whatever it is that you're doing. It's not gonna go anywhere. And so it's really interesting how the ego interprets that in the other way around, right? Where it creates from somebody calling you for a break or for coffee, could be for anything else, and it really goes up, you know, as if it's asked to climb Mount Everest or something, right? And then it goes into an attacking mode, and it steps out of any good bubble and goes into this messy bubble. So this was the situation, very simple. Hey, come for coffee. It converted into a situation, right, where Lora saw on my face, that's not the husband I like.
Yeah, actually the whole situation happened in your head, right?
Entirely, right? Because it was already happening. I was already in my mind, monkeying, right? Monkey.
Yeah.
That's a word, right? Monkeying. The mind was going on, right? So that's the situation.
Yep. Well, now we can say how typically an ego make you react.
The ego?
Yes.
The ego makes you react. Would you like me to continue on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in these kind of situations, what we want to tell you, or kind of illustrate and kind of help you see these kind of situations in daily life, right? So here it is. Like, we humans on a daily basis get occupied with a lot of things, right? This is the 21st century lifestyle that we live, right? We have so many things to do, and often our mind is even 5-10 times busier than the things that we're doing. So what I'm saying by that is, like, if you have to go to work, pick up the child, do some projects at work, go to the fitness, go pick up some grocery, go cook, go whatever, right? You got 4, 5, 6, 7 activities you want to do. But as you're doing them, the ego in your mind, because it never stops, right? It has 30 other things from the past, or pre-calculating and explaining everything before you actually do it. So for example, I could be working on a project, I was working on a program on my computer. I was typing, but my mind was also thinking about the weekend and or some money things and work and you know, my son. So you see, I'm doing one thing which is practical, but my mind is thinking about 19 other things. And so when Lora comes in this case and calling my attention, right, I'm so asleep in my movie, right, because the movie's got 19 things going on, and it's busy, and weirdly enough it's interesting because I'm listening, right? I'm engaging, I'm going on with my mind, right? And I'm also trying to achieve something at the same time. And so the automatic answer for me is I'm busy, right? I mean, and of course that makes sense when you are going on with this mind. But and so what happens is the ego is already creating a stressful situation where there's so much going on, and you're also trying to achieve something at the same time, something real, and now somebody's calling your attention, and it's a perfect opportunity to attack. It's a perfect opportunity to say, oh, it's your fault. I feel that way. Now, you're not saying it that way, but the ego always wants to attack, making you believe that by attacking somebody, you're putting the blame on them. They're at fault because you're stressed, because you're not feeling good, right? You're stressed. And so now I can attack her, it's her fault I'm stressed. And weirdly enough, again, I'm saying that, we believe by doing that, we're not gonna be stressed. Like we are moving the problem to Lora because it's her fault, and now that I'm blaming her, my problems are gone. But does that ever happen? The answer is no, it does not happen, because the problem is inside your mind. The ego doesn't let you relax. It's always going on, and blaming somebody else feels like for a moment that the problem is gone, but the problem is not gone. You're making it, keeping it alive, because you're attacking somebody. That way you're making your ego more real, right? And so that's what happened in that situation. In my mind, I'm busy, Lora is trying to steal my time, so it must be her fault. Why is she not understanding that I'm busy? Can she not see how important this is, what I'm doing, right? And so it's this kind of thought process that happening in my mind, and they make me believe that I am correct in thinking so. In fact, I don't even have a thought of where I go, wait a minute, that's not right. She's not my problem, I am my problem, right? And so if I allow the ego, as was the question, how the ego reacts, the ego takes me, puts me in my corner, and that person that's coming at you, that in that case Lora, is another person, right? So there's two bubbles, and I'm gonna attack her. So it wants to create a conflict, and that's how the ego lives, right? By creating conflict out of a coffee break.
Yep. This is something that is absolutely real. It happens all the time, everywhere, and it's important just to remind yourself that the right time is now.
Mm-hmm. Which is, we are going to talk about how we deal with it, but I wanted to ask you, this is how my ego reacts when somebody's calling me and I'm all warped in my mind. It's attacking, right? And so the answer is, I don't have time, right now, and I hear that in many people, right? Oh, that's not a good time, I'm busy. Has it happened to you? What are the thought processes? How does your ego want you or works in that kind of situation?
In what kind of situation? Like
the opposite, when you find yourself busy, like we say busy again, right? When somebody interrupts you, honestly wanting you just to talk to you or just for coffee or whatever, when you caught yourself saying, why did you come now?
Well, in my particular situation, what happens most of the time is that you have to order your priorities. Like, is it a particular project you're working on? Is it your relationship or your kids or your family or your friends or your hobby? So, for example, right now I'm working on some projects, and I am kind of putting myself deadlines. So when I have to do something, and I have spend a lot of time paying attention to something that is another something from my priority. For example, going for coffee or having lunch or something like
something
this.
That's not in your priority.
That is not the priority in the particular moment.
Okay.
And when I'm already the last minute before my deadline, well, at that, if you ask me to do something, I'm just gonna tell you that I'm sorry, I cannot do it right now. I have some stuff to do. If you're okay with it, alright. If not, I'm sorry, now I have another thing that's on my head.
But that's a normal. I mean, what I'm asking you is there a conversation in your mind, like not what you just said? That's normal to say that to somebody when you're busy, like actually busy. But when your mind is going on and you verbally create situations like in your mind, like why did you come right now, and you blaming the other person because your deadline is coming,
Well, it happens often to me to blame like someone else that I'm late, but this is one of my strong sides that I'm working a lot on being conscious about this thing, like not to blame other people for my situations. So yeah, this is well, I have a lot of weak points, but you know, everybody has something that it's kind of like,
that's a strong point.
yeah, strong.
That's an important one, right? To not blame others for whatever is happening in life. I think very few people have managed that, and I can say, I mean, Laura also fails sometimes. We all do, but it is her strong point. She tries, right, to not blame other people for if anything happens, right?
I believe that what you do, like everything that is concerned to you and that you can control is in your control. You don't have the право.
The right.
You don't have the right to blame someone else. So if you are in charge of something, well, don't blame the others if there is something. So if there is a problem, don't blame the others if there is a problem about something that you have to deal with.
Okay. All right. I think we kind of talked enough about how the ego will react, and just to wrap it up before Laura brings us to the next topic, your ego or everybody's ego can have a different version of what we just said, but it's the same thing. The idea is that I'm not feeling good and this person now is wanting my time, I'm attacking them, right? That's how it does, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can go further and see what would happen if we use the one bubble concept and how it helps in this situation. I would like to start now because as we already told you, I saw on Alex's face that something's wrong, and in the beginning I didn't really understand what's going on, but he really fast just quickly put his headphones on the side and came. So I barely understood everything that happened in his head. So I think that you have to say and to explain how you managed to deal with it, so I understand. So I didn't understand that there was a problem, which actually there was not a problem, basically.
We managed it using I managed it in this case.
You managed it, so
using the one bubble concept. So Laura, just like she explained, she just saw my face quickly, went from, and I quickly caught myself, and here's how I'm explaining how I did it. So I explained to you before that all the thoughts rushed right into my mind when Laura said, because the door was closed, she asked me, hey, come for coffee, right? And I heard it once, and that's when the thoughts started, and then she came in. And these 2 minutes, right, maybe a minute or two, it was enough for my ego to create 1,000 scenarios where that's not right and I'm busy. But right somewhere in there, guys, I caught myself and said, wait, I'm going to use the one bubble concept, which means I bring myself here now, not in my ego bubble separate attacking somebody. I bring myself here now and look at the situation. I have an opportunity to have coffee with my wife that I love. I have an opportunity to speak to beautiful people that I also love and care about. And to recharge. In this particular situation, the ego was not right. I have to look at what's a lie, an illusion. Really, you have to be honest. Okay, this is in my mind. I'm blaming somebody because I'm stressed in my mind, or if I'm not finished with whatever I want to do. On one side, there's an opportunity to be present in a one bubble with her and 2-3 other loved people. So as soon as I kind of made that math and I realized, wait a minute, I don't want the ego, right? Even though it's convincing that if I attack Laura and these are the friends that want my time, I'm gonna feel good and it's their fault. I start to catch myself saying, hey, wait a minute, how in the world are they fault? Is their fault? Laura just said she had no idea what was happening. But you know what's funny about the ego? as I'm thinking with this, my movie's going on, right? I don't even understand that she doesn't know. Right? I'm thinking, I'm having the movie in my head, fully and insanely thinking that she must know that I'm busy and I don't have time and da 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 da. And so imagine the shock on her face when she sees me, I'm stressed and mad that she's calling me. So this is exactly what I did. I put that on the scale, say, bubble with friends and family, or staying in my ego blaming them. So that was an easy math, right? I chose the same answer. And I am not saying it's an easy way, because it feels like the ego response comes in first, and sometimes you have to work to let it go, like let it go, like you take Frozen, was it? You take the Frozen approach, a Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
You take the let it go approach.
Go.
And as funny as it sounds, that song sometimes reminds me that, and it helps me, it's cheeky as it is, it's very true. Let it go, right? So I let go of the ego at that particular moment, and I was able to pull myself in the present, had a nice cup of coffee with my wife, had an amazing chat with these beautiful people that are far from us but close because of internet. And I'm happy I did that. It was the right choice.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. Well, as long as I understood really, I didn't understand, like you told me later that all this happened in your head. And how did you catch yourself, and what did you do so in the past, so now it takes you literally seconds to come to the present moment?
That's a good point. I mean, I've been working self-work, right? And that's different for everybody. It could be meditation, it could be running, it could be reading books, writing, however works for everybody. But self-reflection to understand that one is a lie, what the ego keeps telling you, and one is a reality. And the reason it's very difficult to catch yourself is because that voice that's going on in your mind, that monkey chatterbox, you're so familiar with it that you don't doubt it. It's like, there's no moment of hesitation. It's a complete lie. I'm gonna tell you right now, the voice in your mind is a complete lie. It's a complete nonsense. But you cannot understand that because it's your baby, or my voice is my baby. And so I've been listening to it all my life, right? As a child, if somebody takes your toy, you go, you blame, and they give you the toy.
Okay, but my question is, what did you do so now you can understand that this is not real? Did you read books? What books did you read? Did you watch movies? Did someone inspire you?
It's all of those things above, right? That's what I'm saying. I did a lot of self-work, right? I did meditation daily, yes. Right? I read actually quite a few books, right? All to do with self-help, like on different topics, but self-help, understanding yourself.
About self-love and stuff?
Self-love, etc. But the biggest one is, with a pen and paper, I was reflecting, looking at my thoughts. Why am I thinking that? And how does it make me feel? And so at some point you go, well, listening to this voice, I'm stressed. And there's discomfort, whether you're stiff or pain in your neck or head, whatever. And the other one is, I prefer to live without it. The other option. And so that's the work I've done. So when I catch myself, I make that choice, right? Because I've worked on understanding I have a choice.
Okay.
That's kind of how I can put it. You work with yourself. And so I chose to be in the one bubble, not in a separate bubble. And reminding everybody, our concept of the one bubble concept is Lora and I in this case are one bubble, as in sense that we are one unit. We are one thing as a family, right? And so in us, there is no I. There's no I in us. So if I choose to be I and attack, the bubbles are small and separate. If we choose together, we are stronger, better, bigger, more.
That's right.
And that's what I chose that morning.
And we had a beautiful time with our friends. having coffee, chatting, and the day continued like really smooth and nice. And actually, this an interesting thing is that when Aleks shared with me what happened in his head, like at that moment, I started attacking kind of about and creating an inexistable situation, unreal situation that it's like it's something that we do on daily basis. And for me there was nothing unusual, like just to call him for a coffee. And so
no, it was so let's talk a little bit about the result as you started it.
Yeah, so the result is, I already said it, like we had a beautiful morning together, and
the day to continue the same way, right? Applying the one bubble concept in this case worked again, and it's a mental thing. I'd like to remind you here that it's not a physical thing that you take or you gotta go run somewhere, right? It's a one bubble concept is a reminder in your mind that don't look at yourself as a separate, meaning outside of the situation. You put yourself outside the situation and everybody or a person is against you, and it creates an argument and a situation that it does not make you feel good, right? I put myself in the one bubble, which was a friendly conversation with a cup of coffee. That was the bubble in that moment, right?
We set a couple goal, like fulfilled a couple goal, choosing to be happy instead of having an argument, because this is the one bubble concept, a relationship between people without egos. Aleks managed to catch himself to leave the ego and come and have some good time. And this is actually what I'm working on right now, because today my day was started kind of strange, but this is another topic. And whole day I'm repeating to myself that he is not guilty for my bad mood and all this thing, because literally the things are happening in my head. So I want to have a beautiful day with my lovely husband, and this is what all the one bubble concept about.
Exactly. There's no I in us, and so I chose in this case again, in a very simple example with the coffee, I chose not to follow the ego, because the ego path leads to creating drama in my mind, and if I did follow it, I think I forgot to mention that, it would have been an argument, right? If I followed the ego, what it was telling me that she's interrupting me, yada yada yada, it's easy to create an argument, right? You start yelling and you start doing whatever. But I did not choose that, because what good would have come out with? Not having a nice coffee, not finishing what I want to do, not talking to my friends. There's no good output. The ego will never lead you to something good, however many people argue it that way. But when I come back to the present and whatever that bubble is right now, in this case as I described, I chose consciously, again, made that choice of being happy here and now with whatever the situation is. And I don't regret it. So the one bubble concept worked again in this case. We encourage you to look at your lives and see if that applies to you, but also write to us, comment in whatever way. You can find us in many ways: Facebook, YouTube, and etc., TikToks and Instagrams, Bubbly LA, Bubbly Lora.
Email we also have, so
that's right.
You can contact us really easy. Don't hesitate to write a comment with your opinion or topic, which we can share, and share how the one bubble concept will work if you cannot think of a way. So keep going, watching our nice videos. Have an amazing day or evening or whatever time is, and remember the most important thing
is don't struggle!
Bubble!
Till next time.
See you in the next video.